Shannon Creepshow Art.
Creepshow Art.
Creepshow Art.
Shannon Creepshow Art has posted a video.
We all are pretty well aware of what's happened with Creepshow Night.
My stalker is Shannon, better known as Creepshow Art.
What Emily has accused me and my husband of not only never happened to her, but could not have happened.
I don't know if she intended for this video to, like, I don't know, clear her name or something like that, but it didn't do that.
Let's remember, it's been exposed that Creepshow has stalked Emily Artful for at least 8 years.
Let's just say this video was a massive flop and failure.
Basically, it's just like a 2-hour, incrimination.
She went by the angle of, oh, well, Emily did bad stuff. Therefore, what I did is not as bad in comparison.
Then there's her provably false claims of rape against Anthony, her claims against Price, and her false claims against me for stalking.
You didn't debunk the allegations made against you. You never debunked them.
I just, who was this for?
It's over. I am done. I am not coming back to YouTube. I am done. I am f***ing done.
Oh, hi there. Hello, hello, hi. It's my face again. Swoop, 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 swoop. Wow, wow, wow. First of all, hi, hello, happy new year. Can I still say that? I know I'm a little late, but thank you for being patient with me. I wound up taking some unexpected time off for health reasons. Honey, this whole spinal injury thing tried to play me, but the bitch is back. You know, Petty University classes are back in session. Professor Petty, stay ready. I hope y'all studied. There's a pop quiz at the end. So this is part 2 of my Creepshow Art 3-part series, and for part 3 I actually sat down one-on-one with Emily Artful for over 2 hours and talked through everything that has happened, and I will be posting that interview / doc very soon to conclude this whole Creepshow Art series. Child, look, I had a ton of heavy-ass questions for Emily and was honestly surprised by what she revealed, and I think y'all will find it absolutely fascinating. So that is coming very, very soon. But alas, today is part 2, the dramatic return of Creepshow Art, which honestly just feels kind of like a theatrical performance, the way she danced around the issues. As many of you know, Creepshow's response alleged a ton of terrible shit, and I did go into this as objective as I possibly could. And I came out the other side an angry bitch, okay? I can't help it. I guess it rubbed off on me. No, but for real, if ever anyone wanted to take a class in how to allegedly stalk someone, then Creepshow's video is a masterclass, child. She came with a full curriculum, a PowerPoint presentation, pop quizzes, and a homework assignment. And I didn't study, bitch.
I hope this camera keep going.
We're gonna let the camera keep rolling.
But I digress. So as usual, I'm going to break this down into 3 parts: the theatrical art of deflection, Anthony's performance of a lifetime, and Creepshow Art's performative war on drugs. Now, of course, for legal clarification, every claim I address is alleged, and you should of course form your own opinion. And just a heads up, I will be addressing sensitive topics like rape and sexual assault, which I will abbreviate as R-word and SA. I also may refer to Creepshow Art as Shannon, which is her real name, so if I bounce between the two, it's literally the same person.
Stop it. Get some help.
Child, okay, we have a lot to cover. It is intense, but real quick, we have an incredible sponsor, HelloFresh, who I am so stoked to partner with again. I love them, as well as a new charity donation. So HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit that delivers fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door. It not only saves you tons of time, but tons of money, honey, yes! Now, I don't know about y'all, but I got a little carried away with the holidays, and I was not eating well, okay? Your girl, she got well acquainted with the dessert table, and I honestly haven't had the best track record with unrealistic New Year's resolutions, so I have decided to do things different this year. So HelloFresh has tons of delicious recipes to choose from every week and gets a yummy meal in my belly in 30 minutes or even 20 minutes with their quick and easy options. And they make eating well easy with family friendly, calorie smart, carb smart, pescatarian, and veggie options sourced directly from farmers every week so you never get bored, and you can customize it to what works best for you. And because everything is pre-portioned, you spend way less time prepping, which also means less food wasted, and the packaging is made from recycled content, which is awesome. And let me tell y'all, the meals are robust, honey. Like, you ain't gonna leave the table hungry, okay? I just made this delicious rosemary demi-glace pork chop with seasoned mashed potatoes and veggies one night and a meatloaf parm the next, and whoo child, it is so freaking good. I kid you not, I have not had a single bad meal with HelloFresh. So if you want the joy of skipping the grocery shopping and meal prep and have delicious meals delivered to your door, go to HelloFresh.com and use code SWOOP16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Honey, we love gifts, okay? So give HelloFresh a try. You will love them, I promise. And as always, I just want to give you a massive thank y'all again for continuing to watch these docs and clicking on the sponsors week after week, which encourages them to continue sponsoring these, which is what allows me to make these docs in the first place. As you can imagine, they are a lot of work. And I will be donating a portion of the sponsor proceeds to RAIN to kick off the new year in support of survivors of assault. So y'all are truly amazing, and just thank you. Okay, back to the doc.
Made for posterity, to show I didn't do what I was accused of, and to show that what Emily has accused me and my husband of not only never happened to her, but could not have happened.
Okay, I'm gonna start with a short summary for anyone fuzzy on the details. So Creepshow Art, whose real name is Shannon, is an art commentary YouTuber who at one point amassed over 500,000 subscribers before losing nearly 200,000 in the last 7 months after several big allegations against her popped up online. Now, the first, which most everyone knows about, was when Shannon was outed for posting an endless sea of nasty doo-doo on an anonymous site called LOLcow, where she trashed not only her friends and fellow YouTubers like Ready to Glare and D'Angelo Wallace, but also praised and trashed herself. And here's a recap from my first doc. Shannon was allegedly making anonymous posts that were bullying other creators, using homophobic and racial slurs, doxed her sibling, and both trashing and promoting herself. Because doxing and self-posting are against LOLcow's rules, they revoked her anonymity and made public all the dark shit that she posted. Anywho, so after Creepshow Art was outed by the LOLcow admin, the shit really hit the fan. Like full throttle shitage. Like not even Charmin 2-ply ultra thick booty paper could wipe this much shittle bits, okay? It was bad.
So Creepshow Art never addresses the LOLcow situation, because if she did, that would link up a lot of things that have a lot of gaps in her own video.
Now, shortly after the LOLcow outing, Emily Artful, an alternative art YouTuber, posted a statement on Twitter sharing her personal horror stories of the stalking she believes Creepshow Art allegedly did to her, and followed up with a 2-hour video going into detail.
Now I know who my stalker is. My stalker is Shannon, better known as Creepshow Art, and what I believe to be her current husband, Anthony Parker, who is also my abusive ex-partner.
Emily accused Anthony of R-wording her several years ago when Emily was on heroin and in and out of consciousness at the time. And so in response, after 6 months of total silence, Creepshow Art posted her response video on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2021. It's a party.
This video is being made to simply defend my and my husband's name and prove we did not do the things we were accused of.
Let's see. Take responsibility for my own life or blame you. Ding, 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 ding. Blame you.
If you are seeing this video, it means one of two things has happened. Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and reached a private settlement.
Okay, so now that we're caught up with the situation, it is time for crimes, honey. Allegedly. We're gonna start with the beginning of Creepshow's video, which literally starts with a fucking lie. I wish I was joking.
If you are seeing this video, it means one of two things has happened. Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and we reached a private settlement, which resulted in some form of retraction, or two, I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side.
Bitch! Whoo, child! First of all, this appears to be one massive lie, and in order for me to get through it, we're just gonna have to take it straight to Petty University, okay? So grab your notebooks, class is in session, bitch. Professor Petty is ready. Oh my gosh, actually I just realized we got Petty University on top and we got Suspicion on the bottom, bitch. Sorry, I just discovered that right now. It brings me joy. Okay, back to the point, Swoop. Grab your grad caps. Here's the thing, like all of Emily's videos, tweets, and public posts about the Creepshow Art situation are literally still up.
Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and we reached a private settlement, which resulted in some form of retraction.
So item number one, straight at the gate, cannot be true. There has been absolutely no redaction from Emily. And item number two,
I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side.
Not true. So Creepshow Art did not take Emily to court for defamation, and no legal action has been taken as of yet, at least. So this also is a lie. And how do I know this? Because I asked Emily in our interview, which you will see more of in part 3. We go into it quite a bit. Has there been any legal action taken?
Not officially. I received a PDF. I consulted with him. And he's like, we can just tell them to go kick rocks. Like, let's just do that.
I don't know what, in the whole grain, carb-free, sugar-coated Harry Styles on a silver platter with no napkins kind of audacity someone has to have to start literally their entire 2.5-hour diatribe against someone with a lie? With 2 lies? Lord give me strength 2022, okay? And the thing is, like, it's a very easily provable, actual gluten-free lie.
I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side.
The other side of what?
And came out the other side.
Where?
The other side.
Okay, listen, you know what, Your Honor, may I approach the bench?
Mr. Kirkland, you are out of order! You're out of order! You're out of order! The whole trial is out of order!
And realistically, like, defamation is one of the single most difficult things to prove in court, and aside from that, like, in all likelihood, if Shannon had filed a claim, like, no attorney, or at least, let me correct myself, no decent attorney would allow her or like either of them to post videos with potential evidence, as that could likely hurt the case down the line. Unless, of course, this is all just a ruse to get Emily to say something wrong publicly and then try to hold that against her. I gotta note that starting with what seems to be a clear-cut lie causes like anyone watching to call into question everything that Shannon claims to be factual evidence in the video from then on.
Miss Jackson.
Class dismissed.
I am going to go through Emily's statements point by point with evidence to show how she has lied on screen. That way you can verify the authenticity.
Creepshow then gets to what I call the thesis of her video, that she's going to go through everything Emily said and basically like song and dance her way through with a breadcrumb trail of deflection, declaring things as fact which can't be called facts, and then post a myriad of old screenshots and call it evidence.
I'm going to leave links in the description box down below to everything I'm talking about. That way you can verify the authenticity.
Creepshow announces that she'll be linking to every video she's talking about so that you can verify their authenticity. But them hoes don't work, okay? The links don't work, bitch. Stephanie, did the links work for you? Jonathan, did they work? I didn't think so. Like, I'm not even joking here. Like, I went through and clicked every video link and absolutely none of them hoes worked. Like, I just... You know, sometimes I must feel like when Shannon gets an idea to do something and she thinks it's gonna snap, I just feel like someone just needs to tell her no every once in a while. Like, Shannon, no. No, Shannon. Don't do it, Shannon. You know this no good, Shannon. Shannon, no. I'm sorry, my pettiness has opinions today. No, but seriously, like, I think one of two things likely happened here. One, it's entirely possible that she had the links, like, in a doc somewhere when she was writing the script and f***ed up the copy-paste and it was an accident. But at the same time, I'm not sure that's the case because most of the links go to videos Emily posted, and by the links showing as unavailable, like, it kind of makes it look like Emily went in and deleted those videos after Creepshow's video came out, which could make it look like Emily Emily is trying to hide something. And I think this might be a more likely setup, because whenever you post a long URL in a video description, like when you're uploading, YouTube will automatically shorten it and add an ellipses, like those 3 dots at the end, to indicate that there's more to the URL. But those 3 dots are always blue, meaning they're clickable. But with Creepshow, everything in her video links are blue except the 3 dots, which are black, which heavily implies that those dots were typed in manually, meaning they were supposed to look like actual links, but slightly altered to where they wouldn't work, and hopefully most people wouldn't notice and therefore think Emily took and deleted all of the video evidence. You know what I mean? So Shannon, no, don't do it. Okay? Don't make me Gale on you right now, okay?
Robert. Yo, killing me with this.
Still in a mood.
I get 30 years of my career. Robert.
No, Shannon.
30 years of my career.
But it's all about the details, right? Or as I see it, the false perception of details. And this is a central theme I noticed in this entire video. Presenting and claiming information as straight up concrete fact, but when you kind of zoom in, the details are intentionally distorted. We see this with a lot of the screenshots that are just flown all over her video, but they don't actually pertain to anything. But you wouldn't know that unless you paused and really looked at it all. And if you miss the details, you might start to believe actual lies that are set up to paint a narrative that doesn't actually exist. Okay, class dismissed.
Emily's narrative that I stalked her is in part made, I believe, so that when I show proof of her lies from her own accounts, she can further claim that that in and of itself is stalking.
Creepshow Art then says that she believes Emily created the stalking narrative as a setup, so that if Creepshow goes in and shows proof from Emily's accounts over time, Emily can claim it's also stalking.
Emily's narrative that I stalked her is in part made, I believe, so that when I show proof of her lies from her own accounts, she can further claim that that in and of itself is stalking. Emily created a false narrative, so no matter what is said after, even if I debunk all of her claims, she can still claim that she is the victim. That is why I made the decision to handle this legally before I ever responded back publicly.
First of all, the only handle this legally that happened was the cease and desist letter Emily got from Shannon's alleged attorney. But just so y'all know, a cease and desist letter is not a court order and is not legally binding. It's literally just a letter. The letter itself holds no real legal power. I don't know if a lot of people know that. So Shannon saying she handled this legally is also a lie, allegedly. But if all she did was send a cease and desist, that's not actually legal action.
Emily's narrative that I stalked her is in part made, I believe, so that when I show proof of her lies from her own accounts, she can further claim that that in and of itself is stalking. Emily created a false narrative, so no matter what is said after, even if I debunk all of her claims, she can still claim that she is the victim.
So Creepshow is saying that Emily set her up ahead of time so that if Creepshow Art defends herself, it only makes her look even worse. Now I wonder, just where have I heard this concept before? It sounds so familiar. Oh right, from Emily's first video.
One of the many breadcrumbs that she started leaving behind that she had a quote-unquote stalker, and of course she picked all the things that she did to me, so then I couldn't even come out if I wanted to, because then it would seem like I was copying her instead of her copying me.
It's funny how Emily's suspicions that Creepshow created the Amy narrative was to undermine Emily's chance to tell her story is the exact same suspicion that Creepshow has about Emily's narrative. I guess we'd really just out here in these streets copying the same stalker setup. I'm gonna leave that one there. Okay.
I am more than comfortable stating, based on what Shannon showed in her video and the allegations being made and other bits of evidence that we have our hands on, I'm more than comfortable saying that Shannon more than likely stalked Emily Artful.
Actually, you know what? Pause. Okay, we interrupt this broadcast. Let's play a dumb little game show I like to call You Might Be a Stalker If. Because, fuck if I know, okay? Just go with it. I know people have a lot of questions about what constitutes being a stalker in the grand sense. And if my expert 3 seconds of Googling tells us anything, it's that a stalker is a person who harasses or persecutes someone with unwanted and obsessive attention. Now, obviously it goes deeper than that, but you know, who am I to question the infinite wisdom of an old white Oxford man and his dictionary? So here are the top 5 signs you might be a stalker. Number 5, you might be a stalker if you knew exactly where to find internet receipts from posts made 10 years ago on websites that don't actually exist in present day. Number 4, you might be a stalker if you have photos of a 30-year-old woman, except those photos of her are when she was 13 years old. Number 3, you might be a stalker if you have dozens of screenshots of posts that the 13-year-old made about her high school teacher she had a crush on. Number 2, you might be a stalker if you allegedly hack your own YouTube channel and switch the banner image to glitch art and blame someone named Amy. And number 1, you might be a stalker if you're actually Amy. Allegedly, of course. Okay folks, that wraps up this edition of You Might Be a Stalker If. Thanks for playing. See you next time. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Moving on.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a little bit of a troll. Like, I will go online just to kind of ruffle some feathers on purpose and just watch the chaos.
Okay, now we're going to move into segments where Shannon addresses the lol cow post she made, trashing her friends and harassing herself, like either for self-harm or sympathy. So let's hear what she had to say about all of that.
She's a wolf in mouse clothing.
Ah! Excellent. Glad that's settled. Was there anything else you'd like to say on the matter? Ah! Fan-fucking-tastic. Shannon literally says nothing about lolcow in her 2.5-hour diatribe. 2.5, that's literally like 150 minutes or 9,000 seconds of time she had to say one single thing addressing lolcow. And what do we get? I actually pulled up the Google Doc of her script and ran a basic search on the keywords. Like example, she mentions R word 9 times, she says the word stalk 26 times, and lolcow, 0. Like, literally 0. Like, let me say it in a few languages just to make sure I got the point across. 0, nula, null, nola, zairu, neoni, sifili, odu, ifu, zilch. And I will of course say it in petty. None, bitch! It appears none times, okay? None times. You can't clear your name if you never address the issues and hope people will just forget it ever happened by simply refusing to talk about it. Although, you know, I can actually think of a few influencers who rely on that strategy. You know, the whole, if I disappear long enough, everyone will forget the problematic bullshit that you did strategy. But you know, that ain't none of my business.
It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Glad that's settled.
I can prove that her Facebook was hacked from the screenshots from her own currently active account. However, these screenshots go against the story that she was hacked when she was doing cam work in 2014, and that Anthony or I had anything to do with it.
Okay, can I nitpick for a quick? So this is just something that bothered me. At one point, Creepshow went on about whether Emily's Facebook account was hacked.
I can prove that her Facebook was hacked from the screenshots from her own currently active account.
She makes this claim about a YouTube channel.
The email Emily stated was used to hack her Facebook was, "Why do I have to do this 22?"
And the email, if I remember correctly, was, "Do I have to do this 22@gmail?"
Which is attached to a YouTube channel called Reno 2200. This account was active up until a year ago, posting gaming videos, meaning the person behind this account is most likely the person who hacked Emily. Neither Anthony and I have anything to do with this account.
I just want to clarify, like, because it's all about the details, right? You cannot prove that an email is attached to a YouTube channel like Creepshow claims you can. Like, it's private. The channel would have to publicly post this information, and it is always highly advised that you don't ever share the email address associated with your channel, which is why most channels have a different contact email displayed from their private channel account email, if that makes sense. Now, if you do a search on that specific email address, you don't pull up anything. And if you do a search in YouTube, which, like, honestly, why would you? Like, if it's just an email address that hacked a Facebook account, but okay. If you did, you'd also find absolutely nothing. But if you go to the address bar and type youtube.com/ and then hack off the @gmail part, then you would finally find this channel, Reno2200. But again, why would you even know or think to do that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And again, all that says is that channel's URL has, why do I have to do this, 22, but it still doesn't prove that it's linked to the email address. And the only person who would know that that email address is specifically attached to that YouTube channel, as Creepshow said, would be the owner of that email address.
Got him!
So, you did the math there. Okay, class dismissed.
I also want to say I originally censored Anthony's name in this video, but I decided I'm not going to do that anymore. His handle online is Anthony Parker, and he raped me, and he emotionally abused me and manipulated me when I was most vulnerable, and for the better part of the decade, he tried to make my life a living hell.
So as we dig further into Creepshow Art's manifesto, she spends a considerable amount of time discussing and making baseless claims about Emily's past relationship with Anthony, and I say baseless because how the f would she know she wasn't there? But she makes these claims about her relationship with Anthony, Emily's allegations, Anthony R-worded her.
His handle online is Anthony Parker, and he raped me, and he emotionally abused me and manipulated me when I was most vulnerable.
And claims Emily is lying about when she was and wasn't sober.
This video obviously postdates her dating Anthony by 5 years, which makes me skeptical of her claims that their relationship was ended with physical threats and she was scared of him and Bryce.
Listen, there's a long-standing history of people not believing victims when they come forward. I've done entire segments on this disturbing phenomenon, and it happens far more often than you think. And here's an article written by a senior SA counselor in Australia who articulates this well. When survivors come forward to disclose an SA, they are frequently met with more questions than support in our communities. As a result, silence can be a form of survival. Remember that. A form of survival. Victim blaming is one reason for this. Victim blaming is a part of our word culture, which reinforces the idea a woman is solely responsible for her own safety. 1 in 8 Australians believe if a woman is R-worded while she is affected by alcohol or other drugs, she is at least partly responsible. So when we come back to Shannon's statements,
this video obviously postdates her dating Anthony by 5 years, seeing as it came out in 2016, which makes me skeptical of her claims that their relationship was ended with physical threats and she was scared of him.
Creep, listen. I'm gonna share something about Emily's assault allegations that will make this all make sense to you. So just go ahead, bring it in. A little closer. Just a little closer. Okay, that's good. It ain't none of your f***ing business. The reality is, a survivor choosing to share or not share about their assault does not give you or anyone the right to then be skeptical if it ever happened.
Why that was left out of the ex-girlfriend video or any of her videos, I do not know.
Because it's none of your business.
Why Anthony was not mentioned as being a terrible relationship at that point, I do not know.
And yet here we are, it's a lovely day, the birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and it's still none of your f***ing business.
It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
At this point in my life, as someone who has survived multiple violent, reprehensible assaults, I consider it an honor we don't deserve when a survivor shares part of their story, because they don't have to, like, ever. Especially when there are troglodyte asshats in the world who apparently have made it their mission to invalidate a survivor's lived experience. We often expect SA survivors to show just enough emotion for us to believe them, but not so much that they seem hysterical or attention-seeking. The timing of the disclosure should be just right, or we question why they didn't come forward soon enough. If they were intoxicated at the time of the essay, we question their memory, and if sober, we question their choices. It's little wonder many victims wait decades to come forward or decide not to report an SA at all. Let me just make this clear, and then I will move on. R-word is not something that most survivors just shout from the rooftops the moment it happens. And when you have things like culture and shame, invalidation, skepticism thrown at a victim. It's honestly, it's no wonder why they might stay silent. Again, silence can be or feel like a form of survival. So if any of you like watching, if you have lived through SA or R-word or any type of abuse, please know I believe you. Period. If you're not ready to talk about it, I support you. You don't have to tell anyone about it ever. But I do hope at some point you'll tell someone that you trust if you can. Again, there is no shame if you don't, but I want you to know that you don't have to carry that burden, that massive pile of chains that has a chokehold on you. You don't have to carry that alone, because I'm here with you. I know it's this digital relationship we have, but I am here, I am in support, and I believe you. And I think maybe the most important thing is that you believe you, that you learn to process what happened, that you come to the place where you understand it's not your fault, because it's not, and that you do whatever you need to find your healing, because you deserve to heal. I don't give one Sailor Moon flapjack about what anyone else thinks or what bullshit of theirs they want to project onto you and try to invalidate what you survived. You survived, and you're incredibly brave. Honestly, I was gonna walk through the other segments Creepshow brings up about Emily's past abusive relationships, but then I heard Creepshow say this.
Then there's her provably false claims of rape against Anthony.
Then there's her provably false claims.
Her provably false claims. Were you there? Did you witness it? I'm sorry, but like, I don't know what in the whole grain, sugar-free, salt-free, gluten-free, yeast-free bran muffin with a side of fruit salad audacity, but y'all just, I'm telling you, honey, Professor Petty ain't got the time or the hairline to sacrifice with how profoundly out of pocket this shit is.
No, we're gonna let the camera keep rolling.
This is not true. Doesn't even make sense.
Creepshow spends a considerable amount of time listing what she calls Emily's claims of abuse in various relationships over the year, which is not only a massive violation of Emily's privacy, as is my thesis on this whole 2.5 hour video she made, but to me comes across as a last-ditch effort to exert some control over Emily with issues that have no relevance to the accusations against her.
I just, who was this for?
And the whole thing just reads like a very sad clown doing a sad clown dance, trying to discredit the fact that yes, in fact, people can be abused more than once, and being the victim of multiple abuses does not make it any less valid. Now, I actually discussed this with Emily in the upcoming interview, so I'm not gonna give Creepshow's segment here any more screen time, so let's just move on, okay?
Literally, back when I was 14, I was writing a story, a full-on 30-page story about being in love with Gerard Way, and made up an entire life where me and Gerard were together.
So one of the other things that Creepshow did in her manifesto was bring up these things that Emily posted when Emily was literally just a child. Like, I'm talking stuff Creepshow dug up when Emily was 13 years old. Like, it's actually kind of disturbing just how much Creepshow dug up from Emily's past, which was totally and completely unrelated to any of the issues that Emily accused Creepshow of doing. Like, it's literally not even worth going over here because I am just not interested in adding to the discussion of an actual child's thoughts. But I did find one very just hilariously hypocritical video that Creepshow had once posted on her channel defending the actions of children.
Literally, back when I was 14, I was writing a story, a full-on 30-page story about being in love with Gerard Way, and made up an entire life where me and Gerard were together. But I always feel like now, if I had made the mistake of uploading that to fanfiction.net, then that story would be used today to expose me in some way. That would be used to expose me as a fucking adult, which is the stupidest thing ever. Like, some stupid thing I did when I was young is gonna be brought up as a reason to hate me now.
And Creepshow literally told on her future self, because in the manifesto, Creepshow literally holds a teenager's actions against them.
Emily talks about stalking her teacher in various posts, something she admits to doing in her video uploaded in 2016, titled My 7th Grade Flip Flu.
So she's willing to defend children in her own videos to look like the savior, but when it really comes down to it and it gets personal, she has no problem throwing 13-year-old Emily under the bus as if any of this has anything to do with anything. Like, it's a classic deflection strategy at this point.
It's giving stalker energy, even though she's not a stalker.
Let me get dressed for the occasion real quick. Child, that is just some trifling ass snitchery-doo-dah, spitchery. I don't know what that is. My oh my, what a wonderful day to call out some manipulation. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry, okay, I am done with this section. Okay, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, okay? Class dismissed.
I have found plenty of evidence that shows that what she said happened never actually happened, meaning she had access to proof that actively went against her claims, and she purposely hid it in order to slander my husband and I.
One of the biggest overriding themes of Creepshow's video is centered around Emily's past drug addiction and perceived timeline of when Emily was or was not sober. Now, to put it plainly, this entire section was trash. Like not even the magical powers of like Zendaya and Tom Holland's relationship could save a bitch, okay? Like it just felt like its sole purpose was to shame Emily's history with substance abuse, which, let's be clear, is not okay.
Emily was not abusing drugs as she stated, and this is known because Anthony himself has a history of past drug abuse before he met Emily and has a zero tolerance policy for that in his life.
Creepshow argues that Emily went totally sober in November 2012, and her entire argument is basically Emily wasn't using at the time she said she was assaulted by Anthony, and if she wasn't using, then she couldn't have been in and out of consciousness and therefore couldn't have been R-worded. Like, honestly, just saying that out loud makes me want to punch someone in the balls. Virtually, with peace and love, of course.
All of her posts from 2012 to before her video on my husband and I state that she became sober from heroin in 2012. However, in her video against my husband and myself, Emily states that she only really got sober in 2015. If she was really using up until the year before making all of these posts, joining YouTube and writing this song, why would she not be honest and state that? Why parade around an untrue sobriety date for the past 5 years, especially when nobody was asking?
You know, I gotta say, I love how Creepshow states all of this as fact, even though she doesn't know, can't prove, and has no actual clue what is factual because she wasn't there. But cool, go off.
I personally believe she's changing the date in order to accuse my husband of an assault that could not have happened for multiple reasons, not least of which is the fact that we can prove she wasn't using heroin when they were in contact. Emily only used heroin between May of 2012 to October of 2012, 6 months in total.
So after Creepshow's video, Emily quickly addressed this timeline discrepancy on Twitter by posting actual receipts of when Emily got cited for a DUI after the November 2012 timeline that Creepshow claims as fact to be Emily's sobriety date. What's this? Proof that I was not, in fact, completely forever sober when Shannon claimed I was? That an addict lied about their sobriety? Couldn't be. Date of offense 12/8/12, 2 months after Shannon claims. I know, shocking, right? The idea that a former addict might lie about their sobriety. The nerve, okay, it's just shocking. Who would think that somebody would do that?
That means Anthony could not have snuck in through her bedroom window in her father's home to assault her while she was high on heroin the way she stated, seeing as she was never high in that house and didn't move back until she was 6 months into her sobriety. And she kept that sobriety date of November 2012 up until she made a video slandering my husband and I.
Another example of her just filling in random spaces of my life as if she was privy to any of it. Also, she's taking anything Anthony tells her as gospel, and as I continue to skim the doc, it's clear he's been dishonest an obscene amount of times. Let me let y'all in on a little secret, okay? Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Sometimes the person guilty of R-wording someone might lie and say they didn't do it. I know, right? People lie about things. Oh my gosh. I don't know what the hell that face was. I felt the way that wore on my skin and it was awkward, and if someone memes me out of that, then we gonna have some words, okay?
She also changed her story to state she invited him over at some point, looking to hook up, but then she was too high to consent.
Accusing a survivor of changing their story when all they did was add clarification to it is a manipulation meant not only to discredit the survivor, but also stigmatizes victims who are processing trauma as accusing them of making it up, when in fact, they're still processing. And let me just add, like, because Creepshow Art conveniently ignored this part, Emily's clarification about the R-word allegations literally starts with, "To be clear, Anthony did not break into my house and assault me. I knowingly invited him in, but because I was so heavily and visibly intoxicated, I was not able to consent." Letting someone in your home does not give them the right to assault you.
Emily was not abusing drugs as she stated, and this is known because Anthony himself has a history of past drug abuse before he met Emily and has a zero tolerance policy for that in his life. Anthony has been sober for over 10 years.
Wait a sec, well, hold on, okay. I just have one simple question, actually. If you're saying that Emily lied about the timeline of her addiction, thus implying that addicts and those sober are capable of lying about their substance use and their sobriety date, then wouldn't you also have to say that Anthony might be lying too? I'm just saying, like, if the rule applies to one, like, it's gotta apply to the other, right? So if the whole thesis is, why should anyone believe a former addict, then why the hell should we believe Anthony? I'll wait. Substance abuse is a disease, and their recovery journey should never be used to shame someone. Just wanted to make sure that we're clear on that.
This part is going to be brief, but Amy is not a reference to Emily. Amy is a girl who used to harass me online, who I originally met on stardoll.com when I was in middle school.
Creepshow attempts to address the Amy allegations, Amy being the name of the person she claims was stalking her for 8+ years, and what Emily calls the front for what Creepshow was actually doing to Emily, and that Creepshow was actually Amy.
This part is going to be brief, but Amy is not a reference to Emily. Amy is a girl who used to harass me online, who I originally met on stardoll.com when I was in middle school. Emily tried to state in her video that that video is secretly about her, that I was setting a backstory up to one day say that Emily was actually Amy, and by simply calling her Amy, I was referencing her because according to her, I was trying to lay breadcrumbs online to paint her as a malicious stalker.
I know, bitch, it's a lot, okay? Now, let me remind y'all, Creepshow, in her own community post about this, said that Amy was not her stalker's real name, and that she changed it to Amy in order to protect her stalker's identity. Right. So, in her defense, Creepshow shows screenshots of alleged emails she received from this Amy as a means of proving Amy was real. But many of the emails were signed Amy. But Shanna says she made up that name all these years later in her community tab post.
She said that Amy is not the woman's real name, but that she gave her this alias to protect her. What she was not consistent with, however, was when she said that Amy was an alias that she gave this woman, but in these emails on the screen, which she forgot to blur by the way, they are signed with the name Amy.
Like, what in the Pete Davidson dating the green M&M and her new Converse B-side shoes? Like, just stop.
Stop it. Get some help.
So therefore, and like, let me phrase this the way Creepshow would, either Creepshow lied about the stalker being named Amy, or she added the name Amy to these emails that maybe then she fabricated. Either way, them some lies and deceit, honey, okay? Alright, I just wanted to point that out.
I have learned that the only people I can count on in my life are the people who actually know me. And if a random person comes online and states I stalked them with quite sincerely no evidence, it's over. I am done. I am not coming back to YouTube.
I'm sorry, y'all. I know my pettiness hath overfloweth today, but as y'all know, petty is my coping mechanism, okay? But let's summarize all this, shall we? So, things Emily Artful and others have accused Shannon of doing: stalking, harassment, lolcow bullying, the fake hacker, and being an R-word apologist. Things Shannon addressed in her 2.5-hour response as it relates to those allegations. Whoo, chow. Okay, I think it is time for a kitten palate cleanser. And you know, I just gotta say, like, I don't think we're kittens anymore. Are you a kitten? Ooh. I love it. This is Automobile, everyone. You wanna say hi to everyone? Say hi, Automo. Hi. Okay, y'all, I got a couple of things to say, and then I will get to the closing with my final thoughts. So first of all, stay tuned for my interview with Emily Artful coming up in part 3. We dig into a lot of unanswered questions and speculation and lies, and I think y'all will find it absolutely fascinating. So that is coming very, very soon. Okay, you can go play. Secondly, just thank you to everyone who got their official Petty University apparel. I am absolutely loving seeing all of your posts on Instagram and Twitter, so please do keep sharing them with me so I can repost you. And I'm just gonna say, like, but you didn't hear it from me, but I am working on some new pieces, a new collection coming soon, and I cannot wait. Building this apparel line has just been such a dream of mine, and y'all have made it just so magical, and I can't wait to expand the line more, and I want to continue to make it interactive with y'all. So if there are any specific colors or types of garments, like pants, shorts, or like whatever, or like catchphrases that you might want to see added to the collection, then just leave me a comment. I have some really great things, but I want to hear from you too. A couple of Twitter shout outs from my Jodi Arias doc, which if you haven't seen, y'all, we went on a wild ride with that one. I will link it below to check out. First shout out goes to Mad Hatter Girl 56, who says, I thought I knew almost everything there was about this case because of how much coverage it got, but as always, SWOOP manages to bring new information I'd never have guessed. Highly recommend watching her if you like documentary style videos. Thank you so much. And second shout out goes to Berry Blue Faye, who says, what I really appreciate about SWOOP's true crime docs is that they're not just recitation of the case. She provides resources and encouragement for those who might be going through something similar. What is happening to you is not your fault. You are not alone. Yes! I love to see that. And thank you. Like, I try so hard with these docs to like get into other areas and other angles that aren't like widely covered. So I'm glad that y'all are enjoying that. Now, if you want to be my next Twitter shout out, make sure to follow me on Twitter, linked below, and retweet this video right here. Also hit me up on Instagram because that's where I will be spilling all the tea, child. Okay, I'm just saying, it's a good time over there. Be sure to check out HelloFresh at hellofresh.com and use code SWOOP16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. It is so worth it, honey. So my current thesis is this, and again, this is just my opinion. Creepshow art to me exhibits some traits of narcissism in a negative way, seeking attention from someone like Emily through invasive means. Whether it's alleged stalking or putting together a lengthy hit piece, I think this ultimately comes down to power and control, which are typical of an abuser's motive. Now, I think she gains a sense of control and dominance by digging into Emily's past and splashing it online. To be discovered as a stalker is to lose all forms of possessive control, which ultimately results in the stalker having to backtrack or resort to other means of regaining control, in this case, a 2.5 hour long deflection video. Now, I don't personally think it's a hit piece because Emily took away her ability to do YouTube. I think this runs deeper than that. If the allegations are true, then Shannon has been stalking Emily far longer than she was ever on YouTube, and during the most developmental years of her life. This is her foundation, the place where the performance stops and her face comes from behind the mask and where she has some control in life. In a way, like, I almost wonder if Creepshow lost a piece of her identity tied to Emily after all of this. And as difficult as all these things are to look at, and like all the jokes aside, I do hope that Creepshow art, that Shannon, finds the help she may need. And I hope that Emily finds the healing that she needs as well. It's important to remember that these influencers we watch are not perfect entities, and that we have to be careful who we put our trust in. Like, if much of this life we have is a stage and we're all performing a role to some extent, we have to be able to identify when that performance becomes toxic. And remember that it's okay to stop following, call for accountability, hope for positive change, and then move on. But you know what? Y'all got this. Class dismissed. SWOOP!